Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, began with the quiet rhythm of an ordinary American morning. Millions of people grabbed their coffee, joined the morning commute, and dropped their kids off at school. Across the country, commercial flights taxied down runways, heading to routine destinations. But mixed among those early morning travelers were 19 operatives from the extremist group Al-Qaeda. They checked their bags, passed through security, and quietly boarded 4 separate domestic flights. Shortly after takeoff, as the passenger jets reached cruising altitude, the operatives made their move. Armed with small blades and box cutters, they overpowered the flight crews and took control of the cockpits. The attackers relied on the completely mundane nature of air travel. By weaponizing standard cross-country passenger planes, they used the predictable routine of the morning as cover for a heavily coordinated assault. The timeline of the attack began at exactly 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11, traveling at hundreds of miles per hour, crashed directly into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. News networks scrambled to cover the smoking skyscraper. In those early, confusing minutes, anchors and viewers alike assumed a terrible, isolated aviation accident had occurred. 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 banked sharply and tore into the South Tower. Because cameras were already pointed at the North Tower, millions of people watched the second impact happen live on national television. A wave of panic ripped through the city and across the country. That second explosion erased any lingering hope of a tragic accident. The airspace was immediately shut down as the reality set in. The United States was under an active, deliberate attack. The crisis quickly expanded beyond New York. At 9:37 a.m., a third hijacked plane, American Airlines Flight 77, descended on Washington, D.C., and crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the Department of Defense. At the same time, the fourth aircraft, United Airlines Flight 93, was flying off course over the Midwest. Passengers and crew aboard the plane used airphones to call their families, quickly learning about the crashes in New York and Washington. Realizing their flight was intended as another weapon, the passengers organized a counterattack. They rushed the cockpit, fighting the hijackers for control. At 10:03 a.m., the plane inverted and plummeted into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Those men and women had mere minutes to process the situation, yet they chose to fight back. By forcing the plane down, these civilians acted as the country's first line of defense, intercepting an attack likely meant for the U.S. Capitol. Back in Manhattan, the intense heat of the jet fuel fires severely weakened the steel infrastructure of the World Trade Center. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. Less than a half hour later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower followed, blanketing lower Manhattan in toxic dust. When the air finally cleared, the staggering cost of the morning became visible. The attacks claimed 2,977 victims, taking the lives of citizens from over 90 different countries. Yet amidst that horrific death toll were acts of tremendous courage. While thousands ran outward to escape the falling debris, firefighters, emergency workers, and police officers moved deliberately toward the burning buildings to pull trapped civilians to safety. The entire assault lasted just 102 minutes, from the first impact to the final collapse. In that tight window, calculated devastation was met by intense, spontaneous bravery on the ground and in the air. In the days that followed, search teams combed tirelessly through the wreckage of Ground Zero, hoping to find survivors. As they dug, the rest of the world looked on in shock, holding vigils and offering deep expressions of international solidarity. The geopolitical response was swift. The United States launched military operations in Afghanistan to dismantle Al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban regime that had provided the extremists a safe haven. This marked the start of a multinational manhunt that stretched across a decade, concluding in May 2011 when U.S. forces located and killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. The events of that morning triggered 2 decades of armed conflict, a massive reallocation of national defense budgets, and a restructuring of international intelligence alliances. Even outside of military conflict, civilian life adapted to a new baseline. Airport security around the globe became heavily fortified, making stringent passenger screening and reinforced cockpit doors an accepted everyday routine. Today, at the site where the Twin Towers once stood, the National September 11 Memorial honors the victims. Two massive reflecting pools now sit in the exact footprints of the original buildings. These pools at Ground Zero mark the site of the largest loss of life from a foreign attack on American soil. They remain a quiet record of the passengers, responders, and citizens who, within minutes of the first impact, chose to act on behalf of others. If you found this historical breakdown valuable, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos.